You know, when my friend Clara found that tiny bobcat kitten trembling under her porch during one of those brutal California wildfires, most people would have just called wildlife control and left it at that. But Clara? She brought him inside, named him Jasper, and nursed him through those first shaky weeks like he was her own. Yeah, that happened. What followed? A 30-pound, spotted little bodyguard who pretty much forgot he was supposed to be a wild animal and decided his full-time job was protecting Clara, the woman who saved his life. Let me back up a sec. It was one of those apocalyptic September days, the sky painted an eerie orange from the raging wildfires around Sacramento's foothills. Evacuation orders had just lifted, and Clara came home to find her property thankfully untouched, but the hills nearby were blackened and barren. That's when she spotted him, a bobcat kitten, no more than 6 weeks old, ears way too big for his head, twitching weakly as she approached. His golden eyes were crusted shut, breathing shallow, clearly orphaned, probably scared off by the flames or worse. Clara, a retired vet tech, knew right away what she was dealing with. "Oh, you poor little thing," she whispered, gently wrapping him in an old flannel shirt from her car. Her husband, Mike, wasn't exactly thrilled when she burst in with the tiny wild animal. "Clara, you can't just," he started. But she cut him off, already headed toward the spare room that doubled as her home clinic. "He'll die if I don't help him," she said firmly. Mike sighed, but after 30 years of marriage, he knew when Clara had made up her mind. Plus, he knew her heart, one of the reasons he fell for her. Those early days were touch and go. Clara was up around the clock, giving fluids, antibiotic eye drops, and feeding specialized formula every 2 hours. She named him Jasper, after the reddish-brown gemstone that matched his coat. By the end of the first week, Jasper's eyes cleared, revealing stunning amber irises that followed Clara like a shadow. 2 weeks in, he was trying to play, pouncing on feather toys. By week 3, something unexpected happened. Jasper had completely imprinted on Clara. He was too used to humans to survive in the wild anymore. Clara told Mike one evening, "We want to place him in a sanctuary, but I want to keep him." Jasper's oversized paws kneaded her leg as if to say, "I chose you." Mike looked at Clara's determined face, the same one that helped them get through his cancer 5 years ago, the same fierce love that raised their 2 daughters. He nodded. "All right," he said, "but we do this legally. Permits, enclosures, the whole 9 yards." Clara smiled, and even Jasper seemed to approve, blinking slowly before curling up against her. What no one expected was just how seriously Jasper would take his debt to Clara. As he grew from a tiny kitten into a 30-pound adolescent, smaller than a cougar but way bigger than a house cat, his devotion morphed into something fierce. Jasper became Clara's personal bodyguard. At first, it was subtle. He'd station himself between Clara and the door when someone knocked, follow her room to room, never more than a few feet away. But once he reached full size, his protective instincts were impossible to ignore. The first real incident happened when their daughter Jenny came over with her boyfriend, Todd. "Mom, he's growling at Todd," Jenny said, half amused, half worried, as Jasper planted himself firmly between Clara and the young man. His deep rumble seemed to come from his chest, ears pinned back, amber eyes locked on Todd like laser beams. Clara tried to explain, "He's just protective." "Jasper, honey, it's okay. This is Jenny's friend." But Jasper wouldn't budge. Todd, to his credit, stood perfectly still and asked nervously, "Should I leave?" Clara distracted Jasper with a piece of freeze-dried chicken. "He'll warm up to you eventually." Spoiler, he did not. Jasper's bodyguard duties only intensified after that. His main post became the master bedroom, sprawling across Clara's side of the bed like a furry landmine. Those amazing tufted ears swiveled constantly, like radar dishes scanning for danger. Mike discovered the full extent one night when he got up to use the bathroom, half asleep. Jasper had shifted right next to the bed, and as soon as Mike's foot hit the floor, a terrifying mix of growl and yowl erupted. Mike jumped back so hard he knocked over a lamp, which shattered, making Jasper growl louder, which made Mike yelp. Waking Clara, she turned on the light to find her husband pressed against the wall and Jasper in full defensive mode between them. "Jasper," she scolded, barely able to keep a straight face. "That's just Mike. He lives here." Jasper's glare said he knew exactly who Mike was, and that was the problem. Slowly, Jasper backed toward Clara, one paw on her ankle, like a territorial warning. Mike muttered, "I'm being held hostage by a bobcat in my own bedroom." Clara reassured him, "Oh honey, he's just protective." So began their nightly ritual, Mike announcing his moves carefully. "I'm just adjusting my pillow, Jasper, see? Slow movements, no threat here." Jasper watched suspiciously but usually tolerated it. The real comedy kicked in during football season. Mike's a diehard 49ers fan, and when he jumped up yelling at a bad call, Jasper materialized like a spotted ninja, fur on end, tail puffed up, looking like an angry feather duster with fangs. "I wasn't yelling at her," Mike protested. "I was yelling at the TV." Jasper didn't care. He held his ground until Mike sat back down and lowered his voice to what Clara calls library level. Friends loved the show. At dinner parties, Jasper patrolled the perimeter, eyeing anyone who got too close to Clara. Their friend Robert learned that giving Clara a friendly hug meant a nose-to-nose encounter with 30 pounds of suspicious feline. "He's vibrating," Robert whispered nervously. Clara explained, "That's his warning, like a car alarm. Just back away slowly and he'll stop." Jasper's relationship with the mailman, Carlos, was a complicated one. Every day at 2 p.m., Jasper stationed himself at the front window, tail twitching, ready for the nemesis. Clara would say, "Here comes your enemy," and Jasper would start a series of chirps and clicks, almost like lecturing Carlos through the glass. Carlos, on his route for 15 years, took it in stride. Afternoon, Jasper, triggering fresh protective noises. The funniest moments happened during Clara and Mike's discussions. After 30 years, they rarely fought, but their annual Thanksgiving debate could get heated. Mike loved visiting his mom. Clara? Not so much. She was still scarred by last year's Jell-O with vegetables incident. Jasper played referee, planting himself between them, giving Mike a stare that could melt steel. "I'm not arguing," Mike said. "I'm discussing." Jasper's ear tufts twitched skeptically. Clara scratched behind his ears. "It's okay, baby. Daddy's just defending his mother's crimes against food." Mike smiled. "That's not helping." The absurdity peaked at their grandson Mason's second birthday. Jasper had surprisingly accepted the toddler, maybe recognizing a fellow small creature in need of protection. Trouble started when Mason ran across the yard at full speed. Toy fire truck raised high, yelling, "Gamma! Gamma! Woo!" Jasper saw a very loud, small person charging at his person with a weapon. He intercepted Mason 3 feet from Clara, not aggressively but like a spotted wall. Mason bounced off, landed on his diapered bottom, giggled, and immediately called out, "Kitty," then tried to climb on Jasper's back. Jasper looked confused, small human threatening but also petting his ears. Clara laughed. "Jasper, you can't body check the baby." The bobcat huffed in disagreement but let Mason pet him. Vet visits with Dr. Patel were another source of entertainment. Jasper tolerated only a few people and growled throughout his annual exams but let them check him for Clara's sake. "Excellent health, but stress level off the charts," Dr. Patel joked. "Ever consider meditation or yoga?" Clara smiled. "He's just devoted." Dr. Patel added, "Obsessed might be another word." Mike joked about letting Jasper sleep in the bed. Clara said, "He's making progress." Last week, only 2 growls when Mike got up for water. Despite the laughs, Jasper's bond with Clara was real. When she caught the flu one winter, he refused to leave her side, curled up against her, purring loud enough to hear down the hall. When her fever spiked, he paced anxiously, chirping softly until Mike brought medicine. "He's a good nurse," Clara murmured one evening. While Clara was gardening alone, an aggressive stray dog wandered into the yard, growling and moving toward her. Before she could call for help, Jasper appeared, placing himself between Clara and the dog, letting out a terrifying, primal growl. The dog fled. Jasper stayed on guard until the threat was gone, then looked up at Clara with a clear, "Are you okay?" expression. "My hero," Clara said, heart still pounding. Over time, Jasper developed protocols for visitors. Delivery drivers got chirped at but not confronted. Repair techs followed under close supervision. And the pool cleaner earned special status after bringing Jasper a toy mouse, though he still kept his distance from Clara. The house cleaners learned to announce themselves loudly, triggering Jasper's inspection patrol to make sure everything was cleaned properly, except Clara's immediate space. Jasper was like a fuzzy supervisor, serious about his job. Holidays brought their own challenges. Thanksgiving meant a house full of potential threats, and Jasper positioned himself strategically to survey the room. He tolerated family better over time. Jenny and Todd eventually won him over, and Mason and Clara's other daughter Patricia and her family were